Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 7 p.m. on LA56.
A tragic story in Torrance. A 17-year-old boy kills himself while playing Russian roulette.
A beating outside a bank in Temple City. An elderly man is knocked unconscious, but the suspect doesn't take his money. The search is now on for his attacker.
A new video from ISIS showing a gruesome mass murder. Now the question, is the terror group expanding its reach? Good evening, I'm Mudabe Shabazi in for Colleen Sullivan.
Now, David Ona, this is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. And it's a shocking story. A game of Russian roulette has claimed the life of a 17-year-old in Torrance. As Eyewitness News reporter Sid Garcia tells us, the people with him begged him to stop.
The deadly shot rang out just after midnight. A security guard on duty says a maintenance worker told him there was some sort of commotion in one of the back units of the complex. Donald Gordon went to the unit. He says when a woman let him in, he couldn't believe the scene.
When she opened the door, I seen one guy in there, face full of blood. Face full of blood. And then I seen another guy laying on the floor, and he was asking for help. Can I call the paramedics? And so I said, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm about to call the sheriff and the paramedics.
Sheriff's homicide detectives say there were 8 people inside the apartment at the time of the shooting. The 17-year-old was in his bedroom with 3 cousins when he pulled out the handgun.
The death of the 17-year-old was a result of a game of Russian roulette. 2 other minors pleaded with the 17-year-old not to play the game.
The teen was taken to a nearby hospital where he was pronounced dead.
It's pretty sad because I think he was pretty innocent because I didn't really know him, but I don't know why he would do that.
Neighbors are shocked, many wondering why this had to happen.
I can't believe it. Why they do that? Why they do that there? So maybe the young people are kind of crazy. I don't know what's wrong with that.
Late this afternoon, a handful of relatives of the 17-year-old left the apartment complex, not saying a word to reporters. Even though detectives have determined this was an accidental death, the investigation continues because investigators want to find out how the 17-year-old got that gun. In Torrance, Sid Garcia, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A 6.0 magnitude earthquake hit off the northeastern coast of Japan. It struck shortly after 8 a.m. Japan time at a depth of 6 miles. The quake could be felt in Tokyo, some 430 miles away. The Japanese Meteorological Agency issued an advisory for a possible 3-foot tsunami. That advisory has since been lifted, and so far we have no reports of damage or injuries. This is the same region hit by a devastating quake and tsunami in March of 2011.
An elderly man is badly beaten while using an ATM in Temple City. The suspect got away after the man was knocked unconscious. A viewer brought the story to our attention using the hashtag ABC7 Eyewitness. Eyewitness News reporter Amy Powell spoke with the victim, who was released from the hospital today.
Raul Fonseca is heavily bruised and in a lot of pain, but he's happy to be at home with his family. The 79-year-old was released from a hospital this morning after a terrifying attack.
Lucky because I'm alive.
Raul went to use the ATM at this Bank of America in Temple City around 6:30 Saturday evening. He was waiting to use the machine when a man walked up to him yelling, "Do you know me?"
He close to me. Do you know me? Do you know me? But it's loud. Do you know me?
Raul says when he attempted to push him away, the man started beating him.
I don't know. Maybe hit me here, maybe hit me over here.
Raul was knocked unconscious. He woke up surrounded by Good Samaritans and fire department paramedics. The attacker escaped.
I can't believe that it's happening to your father at his age, going through this kind of stuff. It's very upsetting.
Now I see Eddie trying to take money from me. He tried to do that. It was crazy.
Eyewitness Leslie Castro, one of Raul's 5 grandchildren, contacted us about the story using the hashtag ABC7 Eyewitness. Fonseca says he's frightened because the suspect hasn't been captured. His family is worried about the emotional impact of the attack.
This world is changing. Life worth nothing today. Anybody kills you.
Police have limited information about the suspect. They say he's a white male between 25 and 35 years old, 5'10" to 6'2", around 160 pounds with blonde hair. They're hoping video from the bank's surveillance cameras will help them capture this suspect. In Temple City, Amy Powell, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A fiery crash in Monterey Park on the 60 freeway claims one life and injures another driver. Two cars collided early today on the eastbound 60 freeway in Monterey Park at Atlantic. ABC7 eyewitness LA56 shot this dramatic video from the scene. The CHP shut down 4 lanes to investigate the crash. That backed up traffic for several miles and then soon started affecting even the westbound lanes. And a multi-vehicle accident on the northbound 57 freeway in Diamond Bar leaves one person dead at the scene. The crash involved at least 3 vehicles and happened just north of the exit for Diamond Bar Boulevard. 3 other people suffered injuries ranging from critical to mild. The cause of the deadly collision is under investigation. And an urgent appeal to find those responsible for a deadly attack that appears to have started as a case of road rage. A California woman and mother of 4 is gunned down outside her Las Vegas home. And Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes has the latest on the investigation.
It was supposed to be a simple driver's ed outing. 44-year-old Tammy Myers letting her 15-year-old daughter drive around a school parking lot. New today, Myers family members telling ABC that while on the way home with Myers at the wheel, another car with 3 people inside sideswiped them. Words were exchanged and Myers and her daughter sped off to their home. 19-year-old Matt Myers says his sister came running into the house worried about the incident. Police say that is when the suspects pulled up.
Suspects arrived at the residence and began shooting at them.
Matt Myers says his older brother Brandon Myers came out with a handgun. There was an exchange of gunfire before the suspects drove off. Mother Tammy was shot once in the head. She died after being taken off life support on Saturday.
A nurse, and a mother of 4. And she had to lose her life for what? I don't understand it.
Today, the manhunt for the shooting suspects continues. The Las Vegas Police Department releasing this sketch of one of them, a 6-foot, 180-pound white man in his mid-20s with dirty blonde hair. Investigators say this surveillance video shows what they believe is the suspect's car, a 4-door gray or silver sedan with possible bullet holes and damage to the front driver's side of the vehicle.
At least one of the shots from the victim's 23-year-old son thought to have hit that fleeing car, hence the bullet damage the public is being asked to look for. But as of now, police say they have no new leads to go on. In the newsroom, Rob Hayes, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Fighting continued today in eastern Ukraine despite a ceasefire deal brokered by European leaders last week. Government forces and Russian-backed rebels exchanged artillery fire around a strategic town. Some of the artillery appeared to be outgoing, suggesting it was being fired from Ukrainian troops. The Ukrainian military says 5 Ukrainian troops were killed and 25 wounded in the past 24 hours. Under the agreement, both sides are to begin withdrawing heavy weapons from the front lines tomorrow.
In Copenhagen, Denmark, thousands of people attended a candlelight vigil to honor the victims of this weekend's deadly attacks. Meanwhile, we are learning more about the man suspected of killing a film director at a cultural center and a security guard at a synagogue. The man, believed to be 22-year-old Omar El Hussein, was later shot and killed by police. Officials say he had recently been released from jail where he was serving time for a stabbing and may have become radicalized there. 2 alleged accomplices have also been arrested. And a new and savage act by ISIS. Video that appears to show a mass execution of Christians on a beach off the Mediterranean. It's raising new concerns tonight. Is ISIS expanding its reach? Here's ABC's Brian Ross.
The ISIS propaganda video sent its message of religious hatred with an ugly glee. 21 Christian construction workers from Egypt marched single file in orange jumpsuits in broad daylight on a beach in Libya and then beheaded. The leader, well-spoken in English, without a British accent.
And we will conquer Rome by Allah's permission.
The barbaric act got the immediate attention of the Vatican today and Pope Francis.
They were murdered just for being Christians.
And it also got the attention of the Egyptian Air Force, whose jet fighters attacked ISIS targets in neighboring Libya. The new ISIS video underscored the group's continued expansion beyond Iraq and Syria to alliances with and allegiance from terrorists in Libya, Yemen, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. Increasingly, what was first seen by the U.S. as a ragtag collection of thugs is evolving into a governing body, its recent propaganda videos showing what it says is everyday life under the rule of its terrorists. In fact, recent online messages say ISIS not only needs fighters, but also needs doctors, engineers, etc.
Again, that was ABC's Brian Ross reporting. He says with ISIS making a move into Libya, the terror group is that much closer to Europe, just across the Mediterranean, claiming it's now on its way to Rome, a place of great symbolic importance for Christianity.
Today, after a Texas jury saw for the first time a taped confession from a former Marine accused of murdering American sniper Chris Kyle and his friend. The video is about 50 minutes long. The Texas Ranger interrogating Routh says Routh admits to the killings and says he knew what he did was wrong. The defense objected to the tape being played, but the judge overruled the objection. Routh's attorneys are going for an insanity defense. Prosecutors have said that Routh was a troubled drug user who knew right from wrong.
A driver's one-man bumper car attack caught on camera.
Watch as he slams into car after car after car. Why he says he just kept going.
Plus, a sea lion hitches a ride on a kayak, and we're hearing from the family about their close encounter.
Oscar week is on. I'm George Pinocchio, live in Hollywood, and coming up, we'll hear what the Motion Picture Academy has to say about getting ready for Hollywood's biggest night. Next.
Down to the Novak here. Beautiful day today. Some clouds, though, a little cooler. I'll tell you how long that cooler weather lasts and rain chances in your 7 day. Stick around.
A frightening scene in Wisconsin in a parking lot when a driver smashes into several cars. Police say the man at the wheel is 92 years old and that he told them he got confused and panicked. Fortunately, no one was hurt, even though he slammed into one car after another, including a truck with someone inside.
It wasn't a 10-car crash. It was more of nine cars getting hit by one car.
There's a lot of spunky 92-year-olds and whatnot still capable of driving, but maybe it should have been looked at before this happened.
The driver of that truck was an off-duty firefighter. His fiancée, who also works for the fire department, was behind him in another truck. They were the ones who finally got the driver to stop and get out of his van. Police say the man won't face criminal charges, but the DMV is going to review whether he should lose his license.
Something much more pleasant here. A sea lion makes itself at home with an Orange County family, and it's all caught on video. They were kayaking during a trip to Santa Barbara over the weekend when the little guy hitched a ride. Orange County Bureau Chief Eileen Frere talked to them about their adventure.
5 minutes out on the ocean off the coast of Santa Barbara, an unexpected visitor catches a ride on the back of this kayak.
We just called him like a dog, you know. Here boy, like that.
The Gist family out for a Valentine's Day trip rented kayaks. In one, Rodney Gist, his 10-year-old daughter, and 5-year-old son.
I could feel something on the kayak because it kind of rocked a little. And then I looked back there and there was a little sea lion up there.
Next thing I know, he's snuggling up next to me. So.
In another kayak, watching Gist's wife and 8-year-old daughter.
My wife's somewhat freaking out, I think, about the experience of this wild animal on board with us.
The sea lion pup didn't seem to want to leave.
I don't know, 5-10 minutes in, then I was actually able to touch him and pet him, and he was putting his arm, you know, his head up underneath my arm and trying to get my lap. I thought he was going to be slimy, and he was more like a dry, short-haired dog is what it felt like.
The sea lion hung out for about an hour and a half.
We finally brought him into shore, and we brought the kayak to return the kayaks. He rode with us all the way in.
Once near the shore, the crowd seemed to startle their new friend. They said goodbye. He went on his way.
Now, the Gists didn't actually have a camera with them to record their adventure, so they were very surprised when they got home to see the video online.
There it is, guys. Look, there you are, buddy.
The family home in Orange County. Looking back on a holiday outing, they agree will be hard to top.
It was an awesome Valentine's Day. It was absolutely incredible. We had a great time in the family. It was an experience we couldn't ever duplicate.
In Fullerton, Eileen Frere, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Closer to home now, brutal winter weather grips the east and southern U.S. Boston endured yet more snow. The state transit system brought in busloads of workers toting their own shovels to dig out train lines. A mix of snow, sleet, and freezing rain from Georgia to North Carolina, making most roads treacherous and knocking out power to thousands. Residents in Washington, D.C. are preparing for a snowstorm tonight that could bring as much as 10 inches of new snow. Even the National Zoo closed early and will remain closed until it's safe for visitors.
What a mess. It just doesn't stop coming. Jonathan's mother actually lives in Boston. He brings us these great photos that she's been taking in her backyard, Jonathan.
I've got a couple for you later. In fact, icicles taller than I am, which you might say, well, that doesn't mean much. But really interesting and fascinating pictures I'll show you a little later on. Over a foot possible with this other system now that is rolling through the East Coast. Winter storm warnings all up and down the East Coast, and you got D.C., you got Virginia there, all the way down through the Carolinas that are seeing either snow or a mix at the moment. For us, it is so dry, it is so warm. Even though we were cooler today, we were still above average for those temperatures, and it looks like it's going to stay that way for the majority of the forecast. But I have some rain potentially in there. No rain over Angeles National Forest today. That's pretty good right there. Beautiful. Almanac shows we hit 70 today. Normally we're at 69, so still above that normal. But it is a lot cooler. In fact, I'll show you here in a second. 5, 6, 7 degrees cooler tonight in some spots. 60 degrees right now in downtown, 63 in Van Nuys, 53 Wrightwood, and you can see they're down in Temecula for you guys right now. It is 65 as well. We see this 24-hour temperature change is what I was just making reference to. So what this means is that compared to this time last night, we're anywhere from 5 degrees cooler in Van Nuys to 7 degrees cooler in Fullerton, 6 degrees cooler in Burbank. Other places are generally about the same around Palmdale and Oxnard, but many of us did see some cooler weather with some marine layer pushing in. And we'll have that marine layer, I think, tomorrow as well, hanging around for somewhat majority of the morning. And you see we have this big ridge right here. This is that high pressure ridge, and it's really just elongated, as we say, very pronounced. And so it will actually flatten out. I'll show you that right here on that future scan, which is going to mean some cooler weather for a couple of days at least later on in the forecast before some rain moves in. But for tomorrow, mild, mid-70s, still pretty warm on Wednesday and even Thursday. But then as we go through Friday, I want you to really notice what happens. Watch what happens here just west of the state. This is going into Friday right there. Some disturbed weather developing, and it looks like this, along with a trough digging into the north, we could see some of that make its way down to the Southern California area for Sunday. So we got to wait till Sunday to really get any chance of rain, which is what that would bring. For tomorrow, no rain, maybe some morning clouds at the coast. That's about it. 76 in Los Angeles, 77 Glendale and Riverside, and the coast in the mid to upper 60s, and some of those numbers a little contingent upon how quickly we can scour out that marine layer in the morning. 75, again, that 70 forecast is above average. So is 78 on Wednesday, and we'll cool it down just a tad on Thursday. And then this weekend is a bigger cool down, upper 60s to around 70. And the Oscars Sunday, talking about a slight chance of some showers right now. It's a ways out, though, so we'll hope when we finally get some rain, might be the worst timing possible. Last year, remember, we had a few showers around the area last year for the Oscars. All right, for the Valley's IE, you're right around 80 for a few days and into the 60s finally for the weekend. The beach is looking very nice. Some morning clouds, though. Temperatures around 70, and the mountains are mild, 60 degrees or so the next few days, as well as some breezy conditions for you this weekend and the high desert. Temperatures in the 70s for the high desert for the most of that forecast. That's it for me. We'll have more weather coming up in a few minutes.
Okay, thanks, Jonathan.
You're welcome.
And as you were mentioning, we are down to the home stretch leading up to Oscar Sunday 2015.
It's already been a flurry of activity outside the Dolby Theater with much more to come. And entertainment guru George Pinocchio, he joins us live with talk of Oscar gold. George.
All right, David and Rudabeh, there is a lot of activity right now on Hollywood Boulevard. That's expected pretty much every night, but it's kind of business as usual here, except for the fact that, well, there's a giant fenced-off area on Hollywood Boulevard between Highland and Orange where the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences is busy putting together what is expected to be the biggest night in Hollywood. That's because Sunday night, it's the Oscars.
We're getting ready to welcome the world to Hollywood, and we're so excited.
Tenny Meladonian is celebrating her 10th year working on the Oscars. She knows this is what Hollywood Boulevard looks like at the beginning of all the preparations. It takes a lot of work by a lot of people. All this steel becomes one big deal on Sunday.
Today's our prep day, and tomorrow you really see everything coming into full force. The bleachers start really rising, the stage and the Dolby really comes into focus, and we've got all the presenters and performers coming into rehearsal starting on Wednesday.
In Chicago, the R.S. Owens plant is showing off what it does to get ready for the Oscars. For more than 3 decades now, the experts here have carefully crafted these 8.5-pound, 13.5-inch tall statuettes.
We take so much care to make sure that every Oscar is exactly the same, weighs the same, looks the same, has the same amount of gold.
I'm so proud of what I do, and I put all this work into it, and then to get to see the excitement of the people who receive it, it's a wonderful thrill.
Teamwork is key on the outside and inside the Dolby Theater, where producers Neil Marin and Craig Zaden have been working tirelessly.
They've been working on it since April. They're excited. The show is looking fantastic. And our wonderful host, Neil Patrick Harris, has been revving up for this for the past, several months. And we've got a great show prepared.
There is no better way to enjoy the red carpet than with a new big screen TV. And guess what? We are teaming up with Video and Audio Center to give away 5 big screen TVs. They are 55-inch Samsung Smart 4K Ultra High Def curved televisions worth $1,500 each. To enter, just go to our main ABC7 Facebook page. You need to be at least 18 years old and live in the ABC7 viewing area. I'm going to announce the first winner tonight on KABC at 11 o'clock right here from Hollywood and Highland. Live in Hollywood, George Pinocchio, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
That'll be exciting, George. We'll see you at 11 o'clock. Thanks for that report. Up next, gas prices moving higher. Can we expect a return to $3 a gallon?
Plus, how new admission rules at a local Cal State campus could mean hundreds of students turned away.
And harrowing moments after a massive wave comes crashing down on a catamaran, throwing 5 people into the ocean. We're hearing from one of them. No break at the gas pump this holiday weekend. The average price in Los Angeles is now at $2.86. That's up 19 cents from last week, but it's still well below the $3.78 we were paying at this time last year. Drivers in Orange County are paying an average of $2.85 for gas today. In the Inland Empire, gas is $2.82, which is a penny more than yesterday. And in Ventura County, drivers are paying $2.84 for a gallon of regular unleaded gas.
One of California's largest public colleges is proposing new admission requirements that would reduce enrollment by 1%. Cal State Northridge announced the proposal today. It would make test scores, transcripts, and other admission criteria harder, with exceptions for students in the school's service area and those applying for less popular majors. It means about 300 students would be turned away each year. If approved by the Cal State system, the changes would start in 2016.
We're updating the evening's top stories next at 7:30.
Including a young man hit by a stray bullet while riding the bus. Now the high school basketball player is speaking out.
Plus, hackers steal nearly $1 billion from more than 100 banks in 30 countries. It may be one of the biggest banking breaches.
Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 7:30 p.m. on LA56.
Top story at 7:30, a 17-year-old is found shot to death in a Torrance apartment. Investigators say he shot himself in the head playing Russian roulette. I'm David Ono.
I'm Rutabaga Shabazi. This is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. Russian roulette involves loading a single chamber of a revolver, spinning the cylinder, and squeezing the trigger after putting the gun to your head. Two other minors in the room begged the victim not to play the dangerous game. The teen was rushed to the hospital where he died. The death has been ruled accidental.
An elderly man badly beaten outside a bank on Valentine's Day. 79-year-old Raul Fonseca says he was using the ATM at a Temple City Bank of America when he was attacked. The suspect knocked him unconscious but didn't take his money. Fonseca was released from the hospital this morning. His attacker is still on the loose. And hackers have stolen nearly $1 billion from more than 100 banks in 30 countries. They've been doing it since at least the end of 2013, and all this comes from a report released today. Eyewitness News reporter Robert Olguin looks at how the hackers stole the money.
It's being called the Great Bank Robbery, and with good reason. Investigators say a multinational gang of cyber criminals targeted banks in the U.S. and Europe and made off with $1 billion over the course of 2 years.
The amount of money that they were able to acquire through the attacks on various banks is much larger than we've seen in the past.
Dr. Clifford Newman is the director of USC's Center for Computer System Security. He says a typical cyber attack would focus on customers. This time, the hackers went after the banks through their internal computer systems.
In the industry, this is referred to as an advanced persistent threat.
The malware, called Carbonac, operated undetected inside the bank's software systems.
When the adversaries get into these systems, they wait around for a while and explore to see what sort of internal systems they're able to access and manipulate.
In this case, cyber criminals would steal about $10 million from each institution before moving on to another target.
Well, that is one of the things that you see with advanced persistent threat. It's trying to stay under the radar.
The computer security firm Kaspersky Labs helped investigate the breach. It posted this video on its YouTube channel explaining how the scheme worked. At one point, hackers were able to program ATM machines by remote to dispense huge amounts of cash at specific times. Low-level employees would then transport the cash back to their bosses. Investigators at Kaspersky Labs say the Carbonac hack could be the most successful cyber campaign to date, and it comes on the heels of other high-profile cyber attacks on companies like Sony and retailers like Target.
This is the kind of attack that we're starting to see.
Investigators say the hacker group is still active and that all financial institutions should check to see that the Carbonac malware isn't present in their software systems. Reporting from the newsroom, Robert Olguin, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A local high school basketball player shot in the back while riding the Metro bus. Tonight, he's speaking out. Reginald Symes was shot by a stray bullet Friday night while riding the public bus. The 17-year-old was returning home to Hawthorne after a basketball game in LA. Symes says he heard the gunshot while on the bus, and moments later, he says he knew he was hit.
Thinking to myself, like, I'm not going to go out on no bus, not like this at least. So, like, I started, applying pressure. I was listening to all the people. They were, all giving me advice. They was, apply pressure, and some people just saying other stuff. I started applying pressure. And, I was moving my legs a lot to see if, I got hit in my spine or not, because I know it hit me in my back. So, I was moving my legs, and then I asked the man next to me. I was like, can you call my grandmother for me? And he called her.
Symes is a straight-A student at Helen Bernstein High School in Hollywood. He says several colleges have been looking at him for possible basketball scholarships. He says he knows he'll most likely have to sit out the rest of the season and that he will deal with this the best way he can.
Wow. Some panicked passengers at LAX this morning after a false report of an armed man on the loose. Take a look at live pictures from the airport, and police were following an unarmed driver who appeared to be trying to commit suicide on airport property. He eventually stopped and was taken to the hospital. Meanwhile, someone in a Terminal 2 gate area mistakenly said there was an armed man in the area. It appears that rumor was also tweeted. About 20 passengers ran out through emergency doors onto the tarmac. They were later brought back in and operations returned to normal. Police are still trying to find out who first spread this misinformation.
Disgraced cyclist Lance Armstrong will have to pay $10 million in a fraud dispute with a promotions company. Dallas-based SCA Promotions paid Armstrong about $12 million in bonuses during his career when he won 7 Tour de France titles. Those titles were stripped away after he was found to be using performance-enhancing drugs. After Armstrong's cheating was exposed, SCA sued to get its money back. The arbitration panel ruled against Armstrong and for SCA. Armstrong's attorney had no comment.
A huge wave topples over a whale-watching boat on Oahu's north shore in Hawaii. The 40-foot catamaran was trying to come into shore after a 2-hour excursion when the giant wave hit them. 5 people went overboard, including a pregnant woman. Fortunately, they were all wearing life jackets. The captain was able to get everybody back on the boat and out of the channel safely.
And I look behind me, and all I see is this giant wave coming up. And first thing I think is, I'm going to get wet.
One by one, passengers were brought back to the harbor on jet skis. The catamaran was tugged back to the harbor because the seas were just too rough. No one was seriously hurt.
Day 4 of a partial shutdown at West Coast ports, and there is no end in sight to the labor dispute as the economic pain grows for those who rely on shipping for the survival of their businesses. Tomorrow, U.S. Labor Secretary Tom Perez is expected to travel to San Francisco, hoping to jumpstart the stalled labor talks that have led to a huge backup at LA Harbor and other West Coast ports. He'll meet with union officials and representatives of the shipping companies. This is the last of 4 partial shutdown days over the past week, with no loading or unloading of cargo ships. Farmers and businesses, see large and small, are feeling the impact. Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan has one example in Ontario.
These are busy times at DB Building Fasteners in Ontario. Here, among other things, Brent Dooley sells screws used for metal buildings and metal rooftops in the construction industry.
2014 was one of our best years ever, and we thought, okay, we're back. We're starting to go again. And then this issue happened down at the dock.
And that issue down at the dock is, of course, the labor dispute between port workers and the port operator. Just look at all the containers just sitting out there. Among them, the containers holding the screws that Brent Dooley needs to sell.
I can't do a thing about it.
So what does that mean for this business? Well, they estimate that close to 2,300 of these boxes that should be here in this warehouse are just sitting in the ocean.
Currently, I have 2 containers worth about $40,000 each stuck in the LA Harbor.
For now, that means empty space inside this warehouse. Sure, he can buy screws from a different source, but that could cost up to 40% more.
We're just getting to the point where business is good again. We're just getting to the point where we're making money again, good money, and then this hits. And it's just, one more thing as a business owner that you've got to worry about and stress about and not sleep at night about. And you hope that this comes to a resolution soon.
In Ontario, Rob McMillan, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A President's Day celebration at the Ronald Reagan Library in Simi Valley today, including a special appearance by Abraham Lincoln.
I was born in the far western frontier of America, way out west in a place called Kentucky.
George Washington and Abigail Adams lookalikes made appearances as well. The celebration included music, arts, crafts, and presidential bingo. Visitors could also tour the museums, including the Air Force One Pavilion and the amazing automobiles exhibit.
Those likenesses are pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
It looks just like them. Up next, a train accident sends more than 100 oil tankers off the tracks and igniting a dangerous fire. What triggered the massive derailment?
Plus, a lost sea lion pup found wandering in Marina del Rey. What happened to its mother, and why has it roamed away from home?
A little bit cooler today. I've got that temperature forecast plus rain in the 7-day, if you can believe that. Details coming up.
Tonight, a state of emergency in parts of West Virginia. This after a massive fireball from a massive train derailment involving dozens of cars carrying crude oil. Hundreds of families have been evacuated, and ABC's David Curley has details.
Towering explosions fueled by crude oil sending flames hundreds of feet into the air. At this hour, fires from the derailed tank cars still burning. Crude spilling into the river, with one witness saying a half-mile of that river is on fire. It happened this afternoon about 30 miles southeast of Charleston, West Virginia, along the Kanawha River. One resident tells us the freight engine plowed through the home of a local pastor who survived.
The cars were exploding, and it was a considerable amount of fire. We could see it from a mile away.
As these pictures show, the explosion happening very close to homes. Tonight, more than 60 nearby homes evacuated, 200 to 300 people sheltered in the middle of a snowstorm nearby. The CSX train had more than 100 cars, 25 derailed, 7 on fire, and probably won't burn out until midnight. It is Bakken crude from North Dakota, more flammable than other oil. The amount of crude oil on our rails has jumped dramatically, more than 400% in the past several years. And federal regulators say those tank cars are vulnerable and need to be reinforced.
Once this fire burns out, a look at the environmental damage. Already the inlets to the water system from the river have been shut down, and residents have been asked to conserve water. David Curley, ABC News, Washington.
We could learn this week whether two girls accused of stabbing a classmate will be tried for attempted homicide in the so-called Slender Man case. A preliminary hearing is underway in Wisconsin. The girls, 12 years old at the time, are accused of stabbing a classmate who barely survived in order to please the fictional online character known as the Slender Man. Their defense attorneys are pushing for lesser charges and may try to get the case moved to juvenile court. An American is recovering after being gored during a bull running in Spain. 20-year-old Benjamin Miller of Georgia is hospitalized. His wounds include a 16-inch gash from a goring to the thigh. However, he is out of intensive care, and the hospital says he is improving. Miller was taking part in a bull running festival in Ciudad Rodrigo over the weekend. In addition to being gored, he was tossed around several times by the bull.
Wow. Well, get ready for a change. Weather and meteorologist Jonathan Novak has his complete forecast coming up next.
Plus in sports, this Caltech basketball player isn't your typical student athlete. He's way more than just that. We'll tell you how much when we come back.
And a woman who lost her ring miles from home never thought she'd see it again, but she was wrong. How she was reunited with her precious jewelry. All right, we have breaking news in South LA. Somebody apparently is shooting at MTA buses with a pellet gun. Let's go to Bill Thomas in Air 7 HD. Bill?
Yeah, David, 2 buses hit. This is MTA bus line number 120. It was eastbound on Imperial Highway at Central Avenue in South LA, and MTA officials say they took on fire from a pellet gun. It looks like the rear window was shattered. Some other damage here as well. 8 passengers on board. Fortunately, no injuries. Off to our left, they called in another bus to take care of these passengers. Apparently, that bus was shot at as well, but we don't see any damage there. Transit deputies with the LA County Sheriff's Department, they're investigating. At this point, no reports of any arrests. Reporting live from Air 7 HD, I'm Bill Thomas, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Okay, thanks, Bill. And on to a happier story now. A lost sea lion pup was rescued after wandering around an apartment complex in Marina del Rey. The little guy named Walter was first spotted yesterday on the rocks, looking emaciated. Today he wobbled up toward the parking garage, clearly disoriented and scared.
He was very lethargic, very thin. His skin was very loose and I could see bones. And he was trying to get up on his fins and would fall down on flat.
Aw. Marine animal rescue workers tell Eyewitness News mass sea lion strandings have become a major problem up and down the coast. Walter is one of the lucky pups. He'll be cared for and released back into the ocean.
So Walter's going to be okay, but we don't know what's doing that. And it's so sad. Those guys, they look like little puppies.
I know. They're adorable.
We have to, it's like...
Yeah,
I know.
That gets you, doesn't it? And it would have been nice to have a little rain, help that guy out, keep him wet.
Maybe this weekend, maybe a little bit. You know when it might
for
be?
Oscar Sunday?
Oscar. Hey, take it for the team, Oscar.
Mother Nature has a sense of humor. Or she doesn't like movies. Maybe once. I told you about some pictures from back home. Yeah, let's check it out. Yep, that's from back home. That's the driveway. It doesn't look too bad, right? I started it off mild. I've got 3 for you. So that's the driveway. You can see, though, how high it's piled up there. What did you think that is? It's probably about a good 4 feet, right? The plow has. Now, this is the bedroom, the 2nd floor. So there's a porch down here, so it's not from 2 stories up. It's not 20. Yeah, it's not 20 feet. But this is piled up from the porch, as best I can tell, or from a level that's probably about, I'd say, maybe 6 plus 7 feet from down below. I mean, it's unbelievable. Wow. And then here you go, the icicles. That's Barry, my stepdad, taking out the icicles from... Look at that. Okay, so this it's not like this icicle starts here. It starts up there, if I were tall enough, and it comes all the way down, and that was his job, to take those out.
Hey, we're getting to know your whole family.
Yeah, unfortunately, Barry does all the hard work. He's got to take care of the icicles and shovel the roof or whatever. 70 degrees was our high today in downtown. We head over to Long Beach. We had some clouds this morning, had some more tomorrow. You started off 60 degrees, and then it's a nice mild night. Okay, the marine layer will be back in play tomorrow for the beginning of the morning. I'd say till about 9, 10 a.m., and then we'll get rid of the clouds. Hey, there you go for the East Coast. You got this big trough just bringing in all this cold air, just really chilly, and now another system that's rolling through right here to the East Coast with winter storm warnings. For us, it's this big arc in the atmosphere. That's a ridge of high pressure keeping us warm. Today wasn't as warm, but watch what happens going through Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll stay pretty much in that same pattern. So mild weather tomorrow, very much like today, maybe a little bit warmer. And then as we go through Thursday, things will change. We'll see some energy start bubbling up to the west and some energy that will want to dive down from the north. That will all happen on Sunday. So until then, we'll have maybe a little bit cooler weather on Friday, Saturday. But for the next few days, it's just more the 70 degrees, 70-plus degree weather, 77 Riverside, 74 Long Beach. Morning clouds, that's the worst of it. And Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to take those out of the forecast. And then we go to Friday. Now, here's where the changes start with some cooler weather for the weekend and maybe some showers around for Oscar Sunday. Last year, we dodged a few showers. I remember that was right before it started. All right, Valley's IE, you got temperatures around 80 degrees for a few days and then cooler for the weekend. You're finally back to 69 Saturday and Sunday. The beach is mild and beautiful except for the morning clouds. The mountains, mild as well. Breezy this weekend and a few showers. Breezy in the high desert this weekend. Until then, just warm, not February.
Wow.
Icicles.
Yeah, that is incredible. One of those things you don't even think about.
As tall as I am, 6'5".
All righty. And we're supposed to believe his weathercast. Amari Stoudemire won't have to stick around to see the rest of the New York Knicks' disastrous season. Phil Jackson cut him loose today by buying out the final $23 million remaining on his contract. With Blake Griffin injured, the Clippers could use a 6'11" Stoudemire, who can play forward as well as center. Doc Rivers will be certainly making a pitch for him, but Stoudemire is said to be leaning towards the Mavericks when he clears waivers on Wednesday. The Spurs and his former team, the Suns, could also be in the running for his services. Student athletes at Caltech are a bit different than other college student athletes. Rob Anderson, a junior guard for the Beavers basketball team, also double majors in mechanical engineering and business economics and management. And Anderson was recently named to the National Association of Basketball Coaches Good Works team, an off-the-court honor recognizing college basketball student athletes for their community involvement. Anderson boasts an impressive resume. He led a team to design a solar-powered boat. He also designed a decision support tool that helps with the feasibility of growing crops, and volunteered at local competitions and community events to promote entrepreneurship in renewable resources and advanced technologies.
It's an honor. Coming here, I wanted to find a place where I could challenge myself both on and off the court, and it's a great honor to be able to represent Caltech and the community, on this large scale. Basketball, more than almost anything other, has, with Coach's program that he's built here, teaches all about how to teamwork, how to work with other people. You deal with conflicts on and off the court, and so it's just been a great experience being able to learn and grow with each other, just like as you would in a work environment.
What a great young man. Anderson has been invited to this year's Final Four in Indianapolis, where he will participate in a community project benefiting the city.
Well, a local woman reached out to us on our Facebook page, letting us know about a very special Valentine's Day story. A Good Samaritan had found her lost wedding ring. Eyewitness News reporter Greg Lee explains.
I would say at least 3 months to find that ring and to find the perfect ring that she wants with the band.
Tharakel spent a long time looking for the perfect wedding ring. When he put it on his wife, Lena Halal's finger in 2008, they both knew it was the right one.
It's a diamond ring. It's one thing that will stay on your finger. It's special.
A little over a month ago, the couple was shopping at the Oaks Mall in Thousand Oaks. When they got back to their home in Garden Grove, the ring was gone. In a panic, Lena began to retrace her steps.
Using, I guess, a family restroom, and I have a habit of taking it off while I wash my hands.
She immediately called the mall's Lost and Found, but no one had turned anything in. Knowing the value of the ring, Lena assumed she would never see it again.
I know how much effort went into buying this ring, and that's what hurt me a lot.
But on Valentine's Day, the couple received a call from the mall's customer service. Somebody found the ring. When Lena went to pick it up, she was given this bag. Benbridge Jewelers inside the mall had polished the ring, boxed it, and thrown in a box of chocolates. Lena joined our circle of eyewitnesses, sharing her story on our ABC7 Facebook page.
But they were so nice. I was moved by it, and for me, I think that's how I want to treat people,
Lena says it's going to take a lot for her to take the ring off again. She wishes she knew who turned it in and sends this message to everyone who helped make her Valentine's Day so special.
I believe in the saying, what goes around comes around, and I believe great things are going to happen to you because of that.
Greg Lee, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Restores your faith in people, huh? Well, more news here straight ahead at 7:30 and ahead tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. The desperate pleas of a family headed to Los Angeles to save their little girl's life. Heartless thieves stole everything they own. The race against time and how you can help. Plus, the Thousand Oaks man is named the sexiest veterinarian alive. Meet the sexy and single doctor who travels the world saving lives. These stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 late newscast, Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. Thanks for joining us for Eyewitness News at 7:30 on LA56. Law & Order SVU is up next here on LA56.
And Eyewitness News continues at 11 p.m. on ABC7 and anytime on ABC7.com. Remember, you can get your news 24 hours a day by following us on Facebook and Twitter and downloading our ABC7 app. Good night.
See you tomorrow.